Much money is spent on certain medicines and treatments for various forms of illness every year. As we all know, healthcare, though necessary, is quite expensive, and the upjump prices of medicines and various treatment methods doesn't help people's cases either. The waiting lists for healthy organ transplants are endless, and countless people are forced to wait for what seems like an indefinite amount of time for something they need urgently. But what if I told you there is a way to completely remedy this issue? And more importantly, why do most people not know about the one that exists already? Therapeutic cloning has existed since 1975, when the first mammalian embryo was created via nuclear transfer. And while I discovered through my research at Learn Genetics the history of cloning, the cloning that published in 2014, cloning first began as early as the late 1800s, 1885 to be precise. This therapeutic method is the most recent form of cloning developed in the field, though. Unfortunately, not many people know of this miracle-like treatment. And this is the primary issue, lack of awareness. And in order for therapeutic cloning to become a more prevalent form of treatment, the public's eye needs to be caught. As mentioned before, therapeutic cloning has existed since 1975, and research has been done since, refining and polishing knowledge already gained, as well as expanding further into the realm of science, such as generating cloned stem cells from human somatic cells capable of nearly anything. Why don't we hear about this in the news, though? Why hasn't news of this treatment spread like wildfire in the press? Well, there are a couple reasons. It hasn't been perfected yet, although therapeutic cloning offers significant potential for regenerative medicine by circumventing immunorejection, which is the body's immune response to receiving foreign tissue cells. There are multiple scientific roadblocks impeding advancement in therapeutic cloning. While browsing the McGill Journal of Medicine, I found a list of these roadblocks. Tumorigenicity, the capability to form tumors, so basically you're more likely to get cancer. Epigenetic reprogramming, essentially some of the sequences of your DNA can be deleted, erased, and replaced with new ones. Mitochondrial heteroplasmy, which is when genomes mix, and interspecies pathogen transfer, plus low availability of oocytes, which are donated eggs. These crucial issues have gradually been improving, but could be completely remedied provided more funding being allocated to the respective research groups at the forefront of this treatment method, or even if the funding priorly pulled would be reinstated. One of the main reasons funding is constantly an issue is the ethics behind therapeutic cloning. There's a conflicting dilemma of taking potential human life, which comes from the harvesting of cloned stem cells from a donated somatic embryo, which is a fertilized egg, or unfertilized egg, which destroys the cell, voiding any possibility of it growing into a child. While the loss of innocent human life should always be sought to be prevented or minimized, we have to take into account the greater good and what we need as a species to grow. Fortunately, this risk to potential human life is no longer an issue. Through the course of my research, I was able to come across a rather interesting peer-reviewed report on recent developments in therapeutic technology. An article called Evidence of Pluripotent Human Embryonic Stem Cell Line Derived from a Cloned Blastocyst, published in 2004 by the American Association for the Advancement of Science, also known as ASS. This detailed report explained the discovery of human embryonic stem lines from another animal, which can be cloned and generated to fit humans. This completely negates the ethical issue of risking potential human life by destroying these somatic cells, because now we have an almost unlimited, inexhaustible supply of undifferentiated cells which can be used for further research as well as testing. So what this does is basically provide these scientists with more time and more resources, and they can expand their research a lot more quickly due to the lack of need of frugality with somatic cells donated to them. So this information is interesting and all, But you're probably wondering, okay, why should I care? Well, I'll tell you why. The FDA is responsible for over $2.6 trillion per year of food consumption, medical products, and tobacco, with 91.08 billion coming from their medical annual exports alone. This combined with human food and cosmetics, animal food, and tobacco make up 45% of the FDA's annual funding, with the remaining 55% coming from the federal government. To put these figures, which I acquired through the FDA's website, in perspective, for every dollar spent on FDA products, 20 cents of that goes directly back to them. Now, this isn't an attack on the FDA. They're a much needed and valuable organization, but not unlike other organizational entities such as Google, Apple, and especially Disney, they're seeking to make a profit. And if the past is working just fine, like prescriptions for treating but not curing illness, why modernize? Keeping things the way they are and forcing the halt of scientific medical development is not only unethical, but it hurts us as a people, and forces us to remain on these prescriptions and or treatments already in place sanctioned by the FDA. Can kind of put a roadblock in our progression as a species. Now you're probably wondering how people like us, your everyday citizen, how can we change this? Well, I'll tell you how. The power of giving a shit. As humans, we can achieve literally anything if we set our minds to it. And once you become vested in something, failure ceases to be an option and paths towards solutions become clearer. In this country, we all have the right to freedom of speech, one that came at a great cost to many. I encourage you to use this right. Spread word of this miracle-like treatment and through the power of word of mouth and social media. Research therapeutic cloning. If you or a loved one are suffering from a disease or condition, pursue and apply for trials. They're tough to find, but they do exist. While researching, I came across records of an experimental trial from the 1990s, 1995 to be precise, from ASS, where the therapeutic cloning, in conjunction with gene therapy, scientists were able to resolve severe immunodeficiency within 2 children via retroviral-mediated transfer, which is when a virus augmented to carry RNA instead of DNA, and through the process of reverse transcriptase replaces targeted genetic errors with corrected ones, thus negating the genetic disorder. Of adenosine deaminase, ADA, into cloned healthy T cells. This normalized the children's T cell count, as well as many cellular and humoral immune responses. As I mentioned before, trials like these are few and far between. And the only way to get more trials available for the public, us, is to spread awareness of therapeutic cloning and its potential, and actively search for them. This would put pressure on the FDA and our government to further fund and pursue the development of therapeutic cloning. So, what's the payoff? What will become of therapeutic cloning, and why do we need it? Well, after more research is done, the more time for further development is passed, we would be able to repair our bodies after nearly anything. For instance, in 2008, a peer-reviewed article was published on New Scientist explaining how research leader Lorenz Struder of Sloan Kettering Institute in New York and his team were able to repair and regenerate neurons in 24 mice's brains, which exhibited symptoms similar to Parkinson's disease. Ever heard of it?
John West, I'm so sorry, but I gotta cut you off. You have 9 minutes, maybe.
I'm at 9 minutes? Ooh, jeez.
So I gotta cut you off then. I'm so sorry. Thank you.